My name is Casey Roberts. I will be the Game Master for Fellowship Gaming. We will be playing TORG Eternity. TORG Eternity is the second addition to the game TORG. TORG was originally created and published in 1990. I have been experienced with TORG since it was first created. I have played and run the game for many years. Now, a tabletop role-playing game like TORG or Dungeons & Dragons will last from 1 to 4 hours and is a gathering of friends. A tabletop role-playing game is an interactive storytelling medium. One of the players will take the role of referee or storyteller. This role is typically called a game master or GM. This player is responsible for having a story framework from which to narrate the story. While the other players are encouraged to follow the storyline, this does not always happen. It is up to the GM to be able to navigate through the player's choices. A good GM will tell any new GM that the key to competency is dealing with players and their seemingly random choices. One can think of TTRPGs as free-form acting with an introduction of random chance. Most TTRPGs use dice as random number generators. This introduces a margin of error within the system where even competent characters can fail at a task that they are skilled at. This allows for fun and interesting role-playing events. The suave, charismatic bard suddenly fails to flatter the attractive barmaid, while the brutish barbarian that grunts more than speaks somehow causes her to fall madly in love. In TORG, the die rolls are used to generate a bonus number based on how high the roll becomes. For this game, the dice used are 20-sided and 6-sided. TORG allows for explosive rolls. This means that while a 1 is the minimum of any given roll of any die, a 20 is not the highest roll on a d20, and a 6 is not the highest on a d6. In the case of d20 rolls, when a 10 is rolled, a second roll is made and added to the first. In many cases, when a 20 is rolled, it is also given the explosive attribute like a 10. The die is rolled and added to the previous roll. Should the total of a d20 roll meet or exceed 60 in total, that is considered a legendary roll, and a special card may immediately be played. In the cases of the d6s, only when a 6 is rolled does it give a new roll, but 5 is added to the base number when the 6 is rolled. GMs are encouraged to give bonuses or penalties on certain rolls based on the way a player role-plays the situation, but that is something up to the GM to rule on at their table. Good role-playing should be rewarded by GMs as it promotes the atmosphere of the game. A good imagination, while not required, is useful for all players. Though a GM should be able to give a reasonable description of any action that occur within the game, this helps players see the same scene and are able to respond. This is a playstyle known as theater of the mind. All actions should be tracked in the mind of the players and GM, though this can get complicated. Many publishers offer maps with grids that can be used to set distances and help define the battlefield. One can use tokens to represent the player's characters, PCs. There are also companies which produce miniature models to represent these characters and enemies. Using these tools helps players gauge line of sight and make tactical choices. This also allows the GM and players to not have to keep all distances and relationships of the pieces on the board. Battles in TTRPGs are chaotic and have a lot of moving pieces. For example, think about trying to play 4-player chess with no board or pieces and keeping all the players knowing where the pieces are at. For the purposes of TORG, distances are measured using the metric system. While one player takes the role of GM, the rest are referred to as players and are in control of the characters that are the main protagonists of the story. These are referred to as player characters, or PCs. The players have control over their own characters, which they are responsible for creating. The GM gives guidelines for creation of the characters, though most prefer to give as much leeway as possible. There are rules for creation set within TTRPGs. These rules give the basis for races and statistics of characters. GM sections often include rules for how to adjust character creation to allow players greater flexibility and freedom, though this is purely up to the GM, as that player is still the referee and must enforce the rules of the game. What is TORG and what makes it different from Dungeons & Dragons, or D&D? The setting of TORG is our world and uses the Infiniverse concept. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next month, our world is invaded and reality is at stake. Our world is attacked by other realities, and it is up to the characters to defend. The Infiniverse recognizes that different outcomes are possible, and that each world created by a GM is a unique world and still exists alongside the worlds created by other GMs. A good reference for this idea is the TV show Sliders. TORG adventures are divided into acts and scenes. The completion of a scene furthers the storyline within an act. TORG also uses cards as part of the game dynamic, which will be discussed later. The characters within the story are called Storm Knights. They can take their own reality into other cosms, as well as bend reality to change the possibility of an outcome. They are powered by possibility energy. This is represented by tokens given to the players, which they are able to spend to get rerolls or tap into their abilities to alter reality. These possibility tokens are refreshed at the start of each act. Unlike D&D, there are no classes in TORG. Characters are defined by perks, statistics, and skills. The statistics in TORG are charisma, dexterity, mind, spirit, and strength. The statistics are scored from 5 being poor to 13 being the pinnacle of human potential. A score above 13 is superhuman, but can be achieved through augmentation. There are also races which are capable of achieving ability scores above 13 in certain statistics. Charisma is a measure of likability, attractiveness, or influence a character has. While a character might be likable and have a high charisma, they might not be attractive and just has a strong presence of character. Conversely, a character might be considered attractive, which boosts their charisma, but has a disagreeable personality and thus is bad at social interactions, lowering their charisma to average. This should be agreed upon by the player and GM during character creation. Dexterity is the basis for quickness, manual dexterity, agility, and reflexes. A character that was a top-level gamer would likely have a higher dex as a measure of their manual dexterity and reflexes, but brought down based on their lack of overall agility outside of their hands. With all stats, this should be discussed during character creation between the player and GM. Mind is a measure of someone's intelligence, perception, knowledge, and cunning. This might seem like a very cut-and-dried stat, but it's probably the most ambiguous. An intelligent person could be very unaware and have little in the way of cunning. Knowledge is one of the most nebulous terms to define, as it encompasses the greatest diversity. One can have knowledge of social climates or even the streets, yet know very little about geology or mathematics. Even the skills associated with mind start to have large topics of interpretation. GMs and players should set parameters for what knowledge a character has, even though the game skills don't set this. Resolve, self-confidence, and resistance to fear are measured by the spirit attribute. This attribute is straightforward in what it covers, though resistant to fear does not mean that one doesn't feel fear. Strength covers brawn, endurance, physical fitness, and health. This stat is used to measure physical abuse a character can take as well as their base strength. Thus, a high strength score allows a character to withstand damage and sets the bar for the amount of damage they can sustain. The use of cards is one of the features of TORG that sets it apart from D&D. TORG uses 3 different card types for play: Cosm cards, Destiny cards, and Drama cards. Cosm cards are particularly powerful and can have a direct impact on the narrative. These cards are given out at the start of each act and will not recharge until the next act. These cards are directly tied to the Cosm or reality in which the characters are currently in. If the characters move to a new Cosm during an act, the current card is discarded and a card from the current Cosm is drawn. These cards often reinforce the world laws of the Cosm which they are tied to. World laws will be discussed more when I get into what is a Cosm. They may be played at any time as long as the criteria described on the card are met. This is different from Destiny cards, as we will discuss next. Destiny cards are dealt out at the start of an act, and players are given a hand of 4 cards. If the GM has a character that is part of the party, it is up to the GM to decide if they want to have a Destiny hand for the character or not. It is best for the GM to not have a character, as it might be difficult to not metagame with that character. But that character can make a useful liaison between the party and the command structure set up by the GM. These cards may be played at any time during normal play, but may only be played from an action pool during dramatic action. These hands are only replenished at the start of a new act, though there are cards which allow for draws during gameplay. It is also possible for characters to draw new cards during dramatic actions if they perform the approved action listed on the drama card. Drama cards are not given out, but are used when the game enters a dramatic action. Dramatic action includes combat, chase scenes, or when the GM decides that the action needs to be slowed down to rounds. Rounds consist of 10 seconds in game time. This means that during one round, only 10 seconds elapse for the characters. Much like the time in a movie sequence when the story focuses on the direct action taking place rather than the larger narrative. A good example is a difficult entry to a high-security building. The action of the game will slow down into rounds so that the players realize the stakes for success are high, and failure to succeed at various stages of the entry could lead to conflict with the guard forces and or alarms going off. Dramatic actions are usually broken into 4 stages: A, B, C, D, with each stage having a successful criteria to advance. The players must complete these challenges in order to progress, but may complete multiple stages during one round. If the steps are attempted in a single round, they must be done by a single character, though additional characters may aid. Drama cards also have an approved action. If characters perform the approved action, they are given a draw from the Destiny deck. As with all TTRPGs, TORG has a setting. A setting is the world or worlds in which the game takes place. This can also be referred to as the universe. As stated earlier, TORG exists in a multiverse. Think of a multiverse as similar to the worlds used in comic books. Marvel and DC are 2 separate universes, but both have multiverse ideas spread throughout. In TORG, it is these separate universes that are colliding with and trying to take control of our world, which we will refer to as Core Earth. We will refer to the invading universes as Cosms. A cosm is a universe that has evolved differently than the one we are used to. These cosms each have a different combination of laws that define the reality of the universe. These are called the world laws. Each cosm has its own unique world laws that may be exploited or hinder the Storm Knights as they battle the forces trying to gain control of core Earth. We will discuss world laws more intimately when diving into each of the cosms. Storm Knights have access to an energy we call possibility, though some of the stronger enemies that they face also have access to the same energy. Possibilities are used to alter the outcome of reality. A Storm Knight may cause a hit to veer away from them at the last second, or some other change in reality to cause the strike to miss or cause much less damage. It may also be used to succeed where the Storm Knight should have failed. It is this energy which the invaders are trying to steal from our world. To do so, each High Lord of the invading cosms are connected to an artifact called a darkness device. These devices take a different form unique to each cosm and are iconic to that cosm. They are self-aware and self-determining. They are not able to absorb additional possibilities unless they are connected to a member of the cosm, nor are they able to create stela. Stela are the way in which the darkness device and its High Lord are able to expand the borders of their cosm across the world. They also work to direct new possibility energy towards the darkness device, though the creation of a stela also requires a large investment of possibility energy to create. Core Earth is a cosm rich in possibility energy, which is why it has been invaded and why more than one cosm has taken an interest in it. Stela are set in a group of 3, with the area inside becoming a part of the cosm the stela are attuned to. The Storm Knights are working towards uprooting the stela to reduce the influence of the invading cosm and pry it from core Earth, though to do so requires the Storm Knights to re-energize the local population with possibility energy before a stela may safely be removed. To fail in this is to cause a huge reality backlash which will kill many people in the affected area. The first thing which needed to happen was the initial invasion. This was done via Maelstrom Bridge. Maelstrom bridges are a reality bridge between core Earth and the world of the invading cosm. They are traversable by anyone willing to brave them. The Dark Lords created the Maelstrom bridges to connect into the very heart of their own holdings upon the world they invaded from. This makes them perilous for those that are not aligned with the Dark Lords to travel to them. Yet many heroes from the different realms invading brave those dangers to stand beside and be counted among the Storm Knights defending core Earth. It should be noted that upon descending to core Earth, these bridges caused unparalleled damage. Many of the servants of the Dark Lords ran rampant upon the new lands, and there was a great loss of life from this and the sudden changes of the laws of reality. These laws are defined not only by the world laws of each cosm, but also the axioms. There are 4 axioms which define the cosms. They are magic, social, spirit, and tech. The axioms are measured on a scale of 0 to 30. As the axiom score increases, the greater the effect it has on the cosm. The axioms are where conflicts in reality can occur. Because of Storm Knight's ability to use possibility energy, they are also granted use of their home axioms when they travel outside of their cosm. Most of the time, reality ignores the contradictions created, but when it notices, the result can be catastrophic for the character. When reality does notice, the offending character makes a disconnect roll. Should the roll fail, the character disconnects from their home reality. their equipment begins to change to match the reality they are in, and it is possible for themselves to also become a member of that reality. We're now going to look at the axioms defining the cosms, starting with magic. This axiom is what allows or limits the use of arcane energy. A magic rating of 0, it is impossible for any member of that reality to use the arcane. People from a cosm with no magic will not believe in it, and even in luck or the supernatural. Should a realm have a magic rating of 30, it is possible for any thinking being to utilize wishes at will while achieving the exact desired outcome. In TORG, the lowest magic rating of any of the cosms is 1, with the highest rating being a 24. The social axiom is a rating on how individuals and organizations interact. It is also what determines the psychic energy of a cosm. As the higher the social axiom, the easier it is to transmit information without the use of magic or spirit. At a rating of 0, there is no social interaction, even between thinking individuals. There isn't even a spoken language. Should a cosm be rated at 30, there is complete connectivity between all living beings, and they are able to cooperate fully. The highest social rating in TORG is a 25. Psychic energy is high and can be used to accelerate small objects faster than sound, and telepathy can seriously damage another's mind. The low end of social is a 7, which allows for commerce and a differentiation of labor. Tradesmen, soldiers, and slaves now exist within that society. Spirit is a rating of faith and divine energy. With a rating of 0, the cosm would have no concept of gods, faith, or an afterlife, while a rating of 30 allows the dominant faith to be completely true and for gods to walk among the people while being omnipotent and omniscient. 4 is the lowest rating of any of the cosms, which allow for believers to assist in rituals and for that to be of benefit to the ritual. A rating of 24 is the highest of the cosms. This allows gods from the dominant faith to arrive in person and bestow favors. While these gods are powerful, they are not omnipotent, nor are they omniscient. The final axiom is tech. This represents technology and scientific advancement of the cosm. With a rating of 0, there is no science or use of tools, while a rating of 30 allows for complete control over reality using science. Time travel exists, and space may be manipulated directly. The lowest cosm tech rating is a 6. This allows the smelting of copper with small bronze weapons and tools. There is a general understanding of mathematical concepts. 26 is the highest rating of any cosm in the field of tech. It allows for holograms without a medium and crude force fields and lifting fields to exist. With this understanding of axioms and their limitations within the cosms, we now need to look at what the cosms are in play for this game. Each cosm is linked to another world. Some cosms share their name with the world they are linked to, while others are linked to a world that was previously conquered by the High Lord. The targets of these invasions is our world, Core Earth. Core Earth is both the world and the cosm we currently live in. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, it will be invaded by other realities. The possibility wars have started, and it is up to the Storm Knights to end them. What makes Core Earth the target of this invasion? The easiest explanation might come from something known as the World Law, the Law of Hope. The people of Core Earth are endowed with possibility energy and generate it at a greater level than those from other cosms. Legend and heroes have arisen throughout its history, and the stories of them inspire the people of Core Earth. This abundance of possibility energy makes it more difficult to transfer someone from Core Earth to a new cosm. This law is bolstered by the law of glory. The law of glory is responsible for many of the legends that pervade the mythology of Core Earth. It is the law of glory that creates so many Storm Knights to defend it. Those that rise to the challenge are in turn rewarded by Core Earth to push back, while the High Lords target those that challenge them. Even in death, these martyrs bolster the morale of the defenders. It is also through this law that Storm Knights become almost supernatural in their abilities. Crack shots, incredible athletes, and determined soldiers stand against the High Lords, and with the wealth of possibility energy, their numbers are expanding. Even though the defenders of Core Earth may stand outnumbered or fighting with merely sticks and stones, through the law of the underdog, they pull through. Excuse me. Final world law of Core Earth is the law of the underdog. When outmatched, outnumbered, or outclassed, it is the sheer determination of a Core Earther that pulls them through, and often to victory. Because it is when they are facing log odds, they are at their best. Rising to the occasion is the staple of the legends from Core Earth. A lone soldier holding off an army at a narrow bridge. A swordswoman cutting her way to freedom through a throng of soldiers. A sniper so accurate that his killing shot against an enemy goes through the scope trained against him. Or a soldier killing an enemy 3 miles away. Even today, new legends are made. Core Earth Storm Knights are a hardy group and have plenty to be angry about. This is their world, and it's a world worth defending. No greater love may one possess than to place their one and only body between their home and the desolation of war. Isle is both the cosm and the world from which it has invaded from. This realm is the atypical fantasy world. It has the highest magic axiom of all the cosms. This is the realm of High Lord Ulthurian, though he is not without a rival. Lord Ulthurian is the greatest of the champions of darkness in the realm of Isle. His rival and opposite is Lady Pella Ardenay and her champion, Tolwyn of House Tancred. Isle is the realm of magic, and the law of magic acts within its borders. This law is what causes magic to permeate everything, even sometimes ignoring the laws of gravity, physics, and geology. Impossible landscapes exist because of this law. And it is this law which allows a spellcaster to use their own energy to increase the power of their magic. By inflicting damage to oneself, a spellcaster may gain a bonus to their skills to use magic, though it is the next law which will give some casters pause before doing so. Where there is light, there must also be darkness. This is the law of light and darkness. These are not just concepts in Isle, but tangible forces of the realm. It is also something that can be debated by scholars as losing a battle courageously versus retreating to save lives and fight another day. But also nefarious rogues and necromancers using their powers to do good and protect people from evil. Even in Isle, there are those that reject both the light and dark, but they are distrusted by those on both sides. The final law in Isle is the law of enchantment. The magic of Isle is so pervasive and can imbue an item with power. though it is usually because the way the item was used, or perhaps from years of veneration, these objects may become artifacts. The magic of Isle is wild and can produce unexpected results during times of high stress. The cyber papacy originated from the world known as Magna Verita and is dominated by the cyber pope Jean Moreau. Unlike the other realities which invaded core Earth, the members of Magna Verita came as saviors. Shortly before the invasion began, hordes of devils appeared throughout Western Europe. The weapons of core Earth proved near useless as bullets bounced off and explosives had little effect. The Cyber Pope appeared to the people of core Earth along with a maelstrom bridge offering salvation from the invaders, and to that end the church police, led by priests, began to vanquish the hosts of devils across Western Europe. Be that as it may, a council set up to defend core Earth has deep-seated suspicions about the Cyber Pope and his intentions. There is a maelstrom bridge connecting the worlds, and Stela setting boundaries of control by this Cosm. Storm Knights are being cautioned to not provoke conflict with the Church. There is enough war elsewhere. In the Cyber Papacy, Cyber Pope Jean Moreau word is law and quite near reality. This is the world law of the one true way. Through technology is a path to God. Cyber implants are holy because the Cyber Pope decrees it. While Cyber Papacy is a theocracy, it relies on technology. These are cyberware implants and the GodNet. This realm has the highest tech axiom of all realms, though it does not have the highest spirit of all the realms. The second law is directly predicated upon the first law. The second law being the law of heretical magic. The Cyber Pope was never able to purge the use of magic from his world, but he is able to punish it. Cyber Papacy has a reasonably high magic axiom, and thus allows sorcerers and mages to practice. Through the first law, if one practices magic, it has a higher chance of summoning devils unintentionally or causing strong backlash against a practitioner. The law of suspicion is how the Cyber Pope keeps the population in check. For proper piety, the population can gain favor with the church, and this can lead to real rewards. The drawback is that everyone watches each other out of piety or fear. Anything suspicious is reported. Those that are charged are given a trial by ordeal. This may be a trial by combat or trial by torture, though other ordeals may also be selected. A primitive reality that comes from the world of Takta Kur, which translates to the living lands, has the lowest tech axiom with the highest spirit axiom. The gods are real in this cosm and will answer prayers and even appear to offer boons to the faithful for their service. Yet, as the name suggests, it is a land for living. Once something dies, it decays quickly, usually within a day. But as quickly as something decays, new life springs forth. And great creatures, many called dinosaurs, roam the mist-shrouded lands and waters of this reality. The living lands are a land of savagery, and that is the first of the world laws. When those within embrace their primal instinct and fight for survival, the Cosm works to enhance their attacks. While food grows in plenty, so too do the predators which hunt these lands. It is the fact that so much lives within the borders of this cosm that the law of life also holds sway. Plants and animals grow quickly and much larger than one would expect. Certain things last longer even in this cosm, such as worked wood and tanned leather. Bones last for longer than one would expect from a cosm of life, and as such, gargantuan skeletons of strange creatures dot the landscape. More than just bones from long dead creatures can be found in the living lands, for the law of wonders also holds sway. Ancient civilizations or strange abandoned villages may be found within the mists, and though the Cosms struck the most populated areas of the United States, some of the towering building can still be seen untarnished by the law of life, which decays so much rapidly. The Nile Empire originates from the world Terra. While the technology level of this world is near to Earth at the time of World War II, it is a pulp reality in which weird science exists. It is also a reality of some magic and spirit. Heroes and villains are commonplace in the Nile Empire, and it is a cosm of high adventure. The world laws of this cosm are the most closely interwoven with each other. These laws are the law of action, the law of drama, and the law of heroism. Within the Nile Empire, it is more like an action movie than the other realms. The heroes will battle the villains across the desert in fast cars while trying to rescue the kidnapped politician, while Spitfires drop bombs to try and stop them. And death is not the end for either the heroes or the villains. Most of the time, they will come back. The realm of Orosh would be at home on the pages of Mary Shelley or Bram Stoker. While it is safe enough when the sun is in the sky, fear rules when the sky grows dark. The High Lord of Orosh has conquered many other worlds, though the current invasion of Earth originates from the world of Gaia. The High Lord of this realm has rarely been seen and is spoken of in hushed whispers. No one knows his name. Some even claim it has been forgotten, and rumors speak only of a gaunt man, which is the only name anyone knows him by. While people throughout the world fall from their own morals, within Orosh there are dangers for doing so. The law of eternal corruption holds sway in this cosm. To commit an evil act while within these borders can leave a permanent mark upon one's body. As these markings grow, so too does the willingness to continue down the road of darkness, only to become a new fiend, preying upon those that one once protected. Where to those that hunt monsters, for they may become monsters themselves. While the citizens living under the cyberpope distrust neighbors and strangers because it benefits them should they turn over heretics to the church, the people of Orosh do so because it may save their lives and the lives of their family. The law of fear is a truth for those living in this cursed land. Yet the law of perseverance is also a truth for those who dwell in the clutches of the gaunt man. Though few understand that it is just as much his plan to offer those glimmers of hope to the populace, so that when it is ground out, the despair is that much deeper. People that live in constant fear will eventually become inured to it, and then it loses its potency. So offer them hope from time to time, and indulge the pain when it fails. No High Lord or Maelstrom Bridge came into Japan, China, or Korea, and a strange contagion broke out. The virus causes people affected by it to become raging cannibals, some even becoming strange jiangshi, or hopping vampires. With the rest of the world being ravaged by strange invaders, the local regimes were soon too hard-pressed to contain the victims of the contagion. To the forefront came the Kanawha Corporation, using advanced technology and specialized security forces, it was able to contain the outbreaks near their facilities. Soon, they offered their plan to the governments of the region, which adopted it quickly. Pan Pacifica is under a new reality, and Kanawha Corporation is behind it. This cover-up is part of the law of intrigue. Within this realm, there is a conspiracy within a conspiracy folded beneath a cover-up. Kanawha Corp outwardly decries the draconian measures they are using to hold the public hostage, and the PR department assures everyone that it will be temporary to contain the outbreaks. In the midst of horrific measures implemented by governments and backed by massive corporations, there are still those seeking the truth. It is the law of tenacity that keeps heroes going within the Cosm. There will likely be no backup, and the forces arrayed against them are likely to be backed by the government as well as Kanawha. It will be an uphill fight. And a fight it will be, as the draconian measures are not meant to be relinquished, and many will die. For those deaths, the law of vengeance will eventually be invoked, for this realm does not allow innocent to suffer indefinitely. A time for answering will come, and those in power will be held to account. Reality demands it. Where Orosh is the dagger in the night, or the creeping shadow which steals into your room at night to fill you with dread, Tharkol is the hulking monster which plods inexorably after you. There is nothing about Tharkol that is subtle. This is the realm of techno-horror. When the Maelstrom Bridge descended, the Russian forces fought desperately against the Tharkoldu, the techno-demons. But their valiant efforts proved futile, and the Battle of Moscow was lost in 24 hours. Even the use of a tactical nuclear missile proved ineffective against the invaders and left lasting effects. A barren waste of nuclear fallout and raging reality now covers a large part of northern Russia. It is called the Blasted Lands. Though this is a reality of horror, it has the highest social axiom of all the realms. Might makes right in the realm of Tharkold, and it is by the law of dominance that this occurs. All within this realm are compelled to fall into either a dominant role or a submissive one, but a leader lasts only till someone rises to challenge them, often in a bloody duel. This in turn leads to the law of ferocity. Kindness is considered a weakness and as such exploited. Those that live in the realm of Tharkold are vicious and ruthless in politics and life. This is the dog-eat-dog Cosm. Shoot first and don't bother asking questions. You're right through force of arms. Make sure that your first shot puts your enemy in the ground, because the law of pain may allow them to turn the tables on you. Inflicting suffering on others helps to regenerate some of the injuries sustained in battle. Techno-demons understand this and are quite willing to hurt or kill their thralls to keep themselves alive and in the fight. This is the near now. This is the realm of TORG eternity. We hope you will join us on our streams. Thank you.